I press broadcast and it's just spinning round and round and round like my head after this Prosecco. We're live. Hello, how are you all? We're in Oxford right now. Can you hear me? Just let me know that. Hello, first. How are you all? I'm getting an echo back because I didn't turn my volume down. That was really silly. That's what happens after Prosecco. I mean, just ask anybody. Joel and Leah, they could tell you. I can certainly tell you, but like I said, we are in Oxford. This is the last leg of our trip. I'm just going to go now to YouTube just to make sure that you can all hear and see me. DR says, hey, NYC here. Hi. That's brilliant. And yes, Stephanie Rando does confirm that we can be heard. So that's great. I love the sound of my voice. No, that came out wrong. You love the sound of my voice because you tune in. I hope you do. Seems to have frozen. I hope that that's just my computer and not everybody else's. Let's see. So Oxford, we're in an Oxford castle, formerly a castle. It's now a hotel, but we'll get onto that in just a moment. It froze. Are we good now, Brian? Let me know. Hello from Long Island. I'm too tired to have a name. Great name, ironically. Howdy from Texas. So it's been a great trip so far. Today, we got finished writing the last of our postcards. We're sending out postcards to those of you that aren't privy to our $5 or more patrons. Those patrons that indeed gave us their address to be able to send these. We were very happy today to get the finishing touches put on those and mailed away, and they're going to arrive sometime in June, possibly July, for those fine folks. And that brings us on to something I think very exciting, because we want to do a sort of postcard challenge for all of you fine folks out there, not just Patreon people. Anyone is invited to take part in this. And this postcard challenge, we've just been having a few thoughts over Prosecco, always a good idea, where we want you to go on our social media pages, doesn't matter which. You could go to our Instagram page at Instagram.com/lostinthepond, or any of the others, Facebook, Twitter, what have you, and just share either the last postcard you ever received or your favorite postcard that you ever received, and use the hashtag #LostInThePostcards. And if you do that, you could be entered in for a chance to win a free book that we're going to be giving away. That is going to be Lynn Murphy's The Prodigal Tongue. We still have 2 copies of that to give away. So again, go to any of our social media pages, or you could go to your own social media page and @mention us, or whatever it is that you like to do, and use the hashtag #LostInThePostcards, and you will be entered into that drawing, which I suppose, we haven't really worked out the details about the date. I suppose that will be coming up maybe, I don't know, soon, toward the end of May, early June.
We'll share it with the hashtag across social media as well.
We will, because we're organized like that. Clearly not in my case. So just a quick look at some of your comments here as they fly in. Hi from up the road in Derby. Hello. I think we passed through Derby on one of our excursions, didn't we, on the train?
Yeah.
We didn't really stop there. No, we did. I think we had to change trains. We initially were going to change trains.
I think it changed. Yeah.
We came down.
The change
changed, as it often does. But we came down from York to Gloucester, and we initially were going to change at Derby, and I think that they switched it on us, and we had to change at Birmingham, something like that. But it was really cool. Marjorie Kay says, sorry, don't do social media. Totally fine. You're still very welcome as part of the Lost in the Pond tribe. Is tribe the right word?
Sure.
If you don't do social media. I only do social media just for, marketing this and keeping in touch. Otherwise, I have my qualms with social media. But having said that, I think, I was going to say, I wonder if there's a way for people to share postcards on the YouTube community. Not sure if there is, but maybe there is, and maybe we could look into that. We'll keep track of that as well. Hello there, Mr. and Mrs. B. That's from Kevin Thorpe. Hello, Kevin.
Hi.
And hello, everybody. I'm trying to keep up with the comments, but a lot of them flying in.
You might remind them about Top Chat as well.
Is Super Chat? Yeah, you know what? I've got Top Chat set on right now, so I need to turn that so that I can see the most recent comments as they come in. Still getting used to this thing, I think. So then all messages are visible. There we go. Oh, we got way more. Sorry, I've missed a few of these. So again, just to circle back then, because I got a bit sidetracked a minute ago talking about postcards, which was very exciting. I'm going to get on to how our trip's gone in just a moment, but right now, as I was just saying, I'm in a castle in a way. This building that I'm in, this is our hotel room right now, but it's part of Oxford Castle, which is an old Norman building. It dates back almost 1,000 years, actually, to about 1078. And in a moment, I might be able to show you just sort of the perimeter of the castle outside of our window. But it is an old building, and in and around the sort of 1200s, 1300s, there was some restoration done on it, much like actually a tower that you're going to see in the videos that I'm going to be doing about York. Those are coming soon, about Clifford's Tower, another Norman building. So there's quite a lot of crossover between some of the buildings we've seen so far.
Guys, why don't you tell them some of the stuff that we've seen?
Well, I will. So we've been here almost 2 weeks now. We arrived 2 weeks ago yesterday. And it's been a whirlwind. We have not stopped moving, if only to sleep, you know. But you know, we started out in London. That was a lot of fun because, well, London's always fun. We lived in London for, you know, a year, and that was good. And it brought back a lot of memories because we saw the old train station that we used to have to go to, which was really fun. And more importantly than that, I met my brother for the first time in 11 years, and he was like, "All right, Lawrence, how you doing? It's been a while." I don't know why he speaks like that. He doesn't speak anything like that. And he was very casual about it. I was casual too. I mean, it was like, brothers, you know. No, we were both very excited to see each other. It's gone by fast, says Sandra. Yeah, it really has. Too fast, in my opinion. You know, I think that you really want it to last. You want it to linger, but these things never do because they're so exciting. You know, they say things fly by when you're having fun, and boy, have we had that. Yeah, but again,
we saw your brother.
Yeah, we saw our brother. We saw a lot of the sights. We hung around the Thames mostly. You know, took in a lot of pictures. Which, by the way, if you haven't had the chance, you can see all of the pictures that I've put out so far by going to. And sorry, Marjorie, it is another social media profile. It is our Instagram account. But you can do that by going to instagram.com/lostinthepond. And if you'd like to even click on that link, I'm going to post it right here now in the super chat. Right there, you can see it and click on that. Or maybe you'll have to copy it and paste it into your URL bar. But we posted a lot of photos since we've been here. And it's just been a nice way to sort of visually keep in touch because, you know, it's not been the easiest of things getting videos out. There's not been much time for editing. I've got 2 out so far, but there are so many more to come. So be on the lookout for those. So in the meantime, while I'm working on getting those videos edited, you know, some nice images that we've been able to capture of London and Grimsby and York and the Cotswolds, etc., which I'll talk about in just a moment. Like I said, great way to be able to keep in touch in the absence of video. So that was really nice. But
remind them that we'll see their questions first if they show support, because we have a lot of people cycling through right now. We have a lot to get through as well.
That's true. That's true. Again, I believe this super chat gives you the option. You really don't have to take part. I am going to get to questions that don't offer support, but you have.
Just can't guarantee to get all of them.
Exactly. I can't make the guarantee that I'll be able to read every question just because there are so many. But if you want to guarantee that your question does get asked, you do have the little donate button, and that might sound bad that I'm prioritizing those sorts of questions, but really, you know, any donation that goes toward this channel goes back into the channel, and we, you know, strive to make the channel better. But nobody's under any pressure to do that. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Absolutely. So then we saw your brother. We did a whole lot of videoing.
She's trying to keep me on track. She doesn't trust
We just have so much to get through. We want to tell you so much about all the cool stuff.
We'll do it. We still have 51 minutes yet. We're good.
Yeah.
So we did London, and you know, obviously it's fabulous. But then came the emotional trip. You know, we got the train from London up to Grimsby, and I think, you know, you may have seen the video I put out about that train journey just the other day. It was great to just get on that first train and see the English countryside roll by me, you know, and knowing where my destination was, and it was surreal. It was very surreal rolling into Grimsby station for the first time in years, and knowing that I was just sort of minutes away from my family in sort of reality. I was a bit further because we still had to go to the hotel, dump off our stuff. So there's sort of tension built over, you know, that impending meeting with my family. But it was good, you know, because that's how memories get built, isn't it? Is through those sort of strong feelings, of strong connections you have with the place. And it occurred in Grimsby. There's no doubt about it. So we dropped our stuff off, looked around the town, was like, yeah, nothing's changed. That's good. Always good. And then got on a bus and got to the hotel, and then just walked, because the hotel we were at happened to be just a mile down the road from where I grew up and from where my parents still are to this day. And we turned up and there were no tears. It was really disappointing. No one cried.
It kind of was.
We just all hugged.
I thought that his mom would cry for sure.
Yeah, yeah. But as I'm going through this, you know, I do want to reiterate, we have so much video footage of each place we've visited and each encounter we've had, that you're going to get to see this in more detail. I don't want you to think that, you know, I've gone here and there aren't going to be any videos of it just because they're not going out right now. They're going to be put out, I think, over the next sort of few weeks and months and what have you. We have so much video footage that I had to transfer from the rather sizable you know, data bank off the video camera onto my computer several times because I just ran out of space, which is a good problem to have. I'm glad we were able to get a lot of footage. But at the same time, you know, I think it's important to note, because a lot of you have sort of said this over the last few weeks, we have been able to enjoy ourselves too. It's not just been us going around with a camera. We've been able to put the camera down too and just really take in England, you know, not just London, but Grimsby as well. And that was fantastic. We were in Grimsby for 4 or 5 days, hung out with the family, saw my uncle and aunt, saw my mum and dad, saw my niece and nephew for the first time as well. They're at that age where they don't really understand words, or at least my nephew is, but he understands, you know, funny faces, and I already have one of those built in. So perfect relationship with my nephew already, and with my niece, because I've been doing this for years, right? I have this little dinosaur hand that I do. I always do it to Tara and she just whacks it off and kills it. But I did it to my niece and she loved it. I even did the Jurassic Park music. I won't do that for you right now. I will do that for you right now. It goes like that. I mean, you had to be there. I mean, you kind of are here, but my niece loved it. Put it that way. What do we got here? Everyone give a thumbs up. Yeah, thanks, Sue. What else? Take your time. I'd like to see the videos at their best instead of rushed. Exactly. Yes.
Well, don't worry. They'll be coming over the next couple months.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that comment, Stephanie, because that's sort of my thought with them. I don't want to rush them, really. I want to be able to really make some special entries into the Lost in the Pond canon here with these, just because this has been such a meaningful trip to me, and we really did get a lot of footage and made sure that it was strong footage every step of the way, except for when I was walking around the Cotswolds and didn't realize I'd not cleaned the top of the lens. So there was some areas where,
see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll be all right. I think it should be okay. I'm being a very terrible host. I'm not drinking my Prosecco. I ought to do that, although that causes dead air.
So after we went to Grimsby, we ended up in York.
We did. We ended up in York after Grimsby. I wanted to dwell on Grimsby because there was an emotional resonance to it, but you're going to get to see that when I put it out. But we got to York. York was, and I have to say is, my favorite city in England still. I took Tara there for the first time, and it's better even than I remember it. I think somebody who's sort of grown an appreciation for English history living in America and looking back at my country, that appreciation has really grown. And so going there and, you know, scaling the walls, I mean, I say scaling, we walked them. Scaling makes it sound far more adventurous, but we did. We got to walk around them, and you know, you got this great sense that a lot of what happens in York really happens within inside those city walls. Even the Wi-Fi, which is more or less city-wide, takes place within those walls, and there's all these other things that you can get discounts within the city walls and all of that. Sort of really builds into this idea of those walls being the sort of guardian of the city.
A couple of people asking why York.
A couple of people asking why York. A couple of reasons, actually. My brother went to university in York, and I, as a kid, visited him with my family and really just sort of grew this early appreciation for it. And as a child, I was very interested in Viking and Roman history, and York is absolutely replete with both sections of history there. And it's everywhere. I mean, it's not just this wall, but all of the buildings that you see around, date back to anywhere from, the year 100 AD through to now, but everything on the way. And it's just a fantastic city. I think I do draw a lot of inspiration, I suppose, both as a creator and a writer and all that, from things that were around long before me and have somehow weathered the storm of history to remain around. It's quite a beautiful thing to see. It's awe-inspiring in many ways, I would say. But not only that, it's a very friendly city and a very safe one too, compared to some of the places that we may or may not have visited on this trip. Not naming any names. Grimsby. No, I did not say that. Did I say that? I did say that. Although
Grimsby was nice.
Grimsby was nice.
It was nicer than I remember it.
Yeah. I mean, I could go there. I mean, it does come high on those tables of least safe cities or towns now and again, but that's fine. Hello, Mr. Brown. Hello, Browns. Sorry. Says, how do I pronounce that? Catlarian Prime. Brilliant name. Anyway, and Savage Mister says, my wife is from York.
Oh wow.
Good on her. Yeah. So it's a tremendous city, and like I said, we have a lot of videos all about that coming up.
Had a great time there.
We did, and then we got the train. As I said, we were going to stop off in Derby for about 10 minutes, and then it changed to Birmingham, changing trains down to Gloucester. Quick word on those trains, by the way. As I'd said in a previous video or multiple previous videos, they are quite a bit quicker than the trains in the United States. So it was sort of nice just to see the countryside fly by and to see yourself get to your destination in such super quick time. And we did do that. We reached Gloucester. And I should say as well, one of the ways in which we were able to get around, not just quickly, but rather cost effectively, I would say, is being US residents. We were able to get this thing. It's called a BritRail pass, right? And you purchase them as US residents if you're going over to England. Hugely discounted rate. If you know you're going to be using the train quite a lot, I would highly recommend using this. I don't know if you can see it very well. It's going to come up on my screen.
We may actually end up with
you can't see
a discount for you at some stage. We have to look more into that, but I know that they did contact us.
Yes.
However, now that we've used it and we've actually been here and we've gone through the motions of it, I think we both fell in love and we're going to use it every time that we come to visit. Yeah,
it's been really easy to use, and you can see on the screen, I'm looking back at the screen from 30 seconds ago, it's catching up, and the reason my hand was over the bottom half of the screen is because it's got one of those things you touch down. I didn't want that to be on the screen for anybody in the world to use, because they may have been able to get a screenshot. I don't know if it works that way, but anyway, they're very, very useful, and I think they work on all of the trains within England, specifically England. If you go up into Scotland and Wales, I think you'd have to maybe get a different pass, because they
have like different types of passes. This one, the tier that we got, BritRail, is specifically for England, but then they also have like some that are for all of the UK, and then they also have one that's like for all of Europe or specific countries in Europe. You have a lot of different options that you can choose from. And somebody asked how it compares to off-peak rates. And honestly, there's no way for us to be able to compare that because the system is completely different. So in this case, we were able to use trains non-stop. It didn't matter if it was on peak or off peak for 15 consecutive days. Whereas, of course, if you get an off-peak rate, that will probably be substantially cheaper, but you only go that one place at that one time. So there really isn't a comparison.
Yeah, that's true. But it does seem to rate favorably just in general. I mean, the fact that they were whatever they were, it's a couple £100, 300 quid, wasn't it? Something like that.
Per person, yeah, I think so. And it wasn't more than that for sure. I don't remember exactly how much we paid.
And honestly, I think that if you were to purchase a ticket just as a resident of the UK on a train, depending on where you're going, because it really does vary, they can get quite pricey, the train tickets here. So you really do pay for what you get, but it's quite pricey. So it's been good to have those tickets. But we were in Gloucester, that is, of course, in Gloucestershire. And the main reason we went to Gloucester, well, twofold actually, is it's sort of within decent distance of the Cotswolds, which is where we found ourselves earlier this weekend. Absolutely lovely, the Cotswolds. We got lost, you know, and that's a good thing, is to get lost while rambling around the countryside. And that was really nice. Definitely have a lot of video footage on that, and you're going to fall in love with the place, I think, because I did. And the other reason we were staying in Gloucester specifically, as opposed to nearby Cheltenham, which may have been better for the Cotswolds, but was the fact that going on in and around the Gloucester area, up at the top of this huge hill that we climbed to the top of this weekend, was a cheese rolling event. And this cheese rolling event is absolutely bonkers, but very British, I think. So there's this huge steep hill, and you'll see more of this later on. Huge steep hill where these people go to the top, they throw this big ball of cheese down, watch it roll down, and then they all have to race each other down the hill to get to the cheese first. And in doing that, they get all sorts of injuries because they have to roll down it and break ribs and, you know, break their neck, I think, in one case. It's absolutely mental.
Yeah,
and
they're really not liking that light there.
Oh, are they really not? I don't know what else to do. We could close it. I'll close it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. In the meantime, though, guys, keep in mind that, again, I know there are lots of people with questions. I've seen a few of them. Hey, Anna, I am telling you, I told him to close it from the beginning, and he did not listen to me. So actually, that would be Lawrence's fault.
That's not my fault. What are you doing?
But I know there are a lot of you guys with questions, and we do want to try and get to everyone, but we prioritize the ones at the top, as it were. Yeah,
question from Vicken. Did you go to the Lake District? Unfortunately not. We didn't get out to the sort of west area of England on this trip. But what I'll say about that is that we fully intend to do multiple trips to Britain in the coming years. We think that, you know, we've had such enjoyment from this, but also, you know, if Instagram is anything to go by, at the very least, we've had a lot of good interaction with you fine folks, you know, explosive interaction compared to our usual Instagram output. So we think that there's a lot of success to be had there in terms of the kind of content we want to create. So I do find ourselves going back, and of course not just for those purposes. We still have friends and family in England, and you know, a big circle of those actually happen to be.
Yeah, we found our life is still very much here and was exactly where we left it.
Yes, but a big circle of those friends happen to be on the west side of England. So we have some in Liverpool, some in Lancaster where we went to university, and some also potentially in the Lake District. Haven't looked those people up, but hopefully we do.
So let's talk about a haunted or possibly haunted.
Yeah, so this house, it's not a house, it is a hotel, of course. It's well, it's called Malmaison. That is a French term. It means, I think it's a worst place or worst home in this context. But it's not. It's a 4-star hotel, so go figure. But there is rumor that there are spirits of the ghostly variety hovering around.
I'm gonna pause you there, though.
What are you doing?
Because I want you to look at Daniel Cassidy's comment and read it out, and then I want you to go back to Gloucester for a second.
I don't know how I skipped over that. Daniel Cassidy says, a wonderful place to stay in Gloucester is the New Inn, which replaced the old inn when it burned down in the 1400s. Something else I know about the New Inn is that the Lady Jane Grey was proclaimed queen there, and it's also believed that Shakespeare visited there at some point. How do I know this? Because I happened to stay there. We stayed at the New Inn in Gloucester, and it was an interesting place. I mean, it certainly, you know, had this picturesque Tudor nature to it, but there were just some weird eccentricities to it, some of which, you know, lend themselves to the 1400s. For instance, I was going up the stairs and I bumped my head on a beam because it was so low for the shorter people of the day. But some of the other things is that we didn't necessarily, you know, have a do not disturb sign. We didn't necessarily get cutlery brought our way when they said they were going to do it.
The first room that we were put in had lighting fixtures falling
out of the wall. Snap.
Okay.
Yeah,
like,
it was weird.
The place was really kind of crazy and kooky and scary and inconsistent. And I feel like if one of these two places is haunted, either the New Inn or Malmaison, the New Inn absolutely gets my vote.
yeah. The New Inn felt more haunted than this, but now that we're here, there are aspects of it where you go, I could sort of see it. In fact, I could tell you all about it, but why don't I just show you what I mean? Now, hopefully we won't become disconnected here, because I'm just going to unplug just the power cord to my computer. Tara, are we still good? Are we still live? I've unplugged
So far,
it.
we're good.
All right, how about that? So I'm going to take my time here because I don't want us to get disconnected because we do have an internet thing. I'm spinning round. Follow me. Now, is that going to become disconnected, do you think? We've got the internet plugged in. I hope not. We're probably near enough. So firstly, prison door. I'm inside a prison cell, essentially. That's what it used to be.
3 of them. Yeah,
3 of them in one room, I think. So that's really interesting. And it's a really small door. I mean, of course, and it's, you know, rock hard. We just open it up. I'm going to have to take the key with me because I don't want to get locked out during this presentation. That'd be weird. Let me just go through here. It's not a presentation, it's a video, a live stream. And look at this. This looks like Alcatraz done up. Flashy version of Alcatraz. I'll just spin us around. You see the rest of the prison like that. And that's what it used to be. The warden's coming, so I better get back in my cell. Close that. Put the key back in the door. Just take the key out, the lights go out. Did you turn the lights out, Tara?
Oh no, they go out automatically. You gotta put the key back in.
It's quite ghostly. There, it's back on. Well, I'm on my feet, and since we still apparently have a connection, neat prison, says Gloria.
Alcasnaz.
Alcasnaz. I'm with you. I'm with you.
It looks so much like Alcatraz on the inside.
It's like you're in Porridge. You wouldn't get that reference, Tara.
No, I don't understand that.
It's a sitcom from the 70s with Ronnie Barker set in a prison. And let's see if we can. Sorry about this. You're going to get a blur of daylight, but this is going to show you out onto the courtyard, and you'll be able to see the rest. Hopefully, anyway, the rest of the. It's not really the castle walls. It looks like the prison walls of yesteryear. And sort of old buildings as well. I'm having to look into my screen 30 seconds from now to see that this is working. Yeah, it looks like you
it looks great.
To see some of it. It's just very, you know.
You can see the kind of scary wall off to
the
side.
Indeed. And I think much of the buildings you see here were built in the late 1700s as opposed to the year 1000, which is when the castle at large was built, but they built quite a bit of the prison on afterwards, is my understanding in the short research that I did. So that's just a little look at that, and of course look at the windows. They look kind of prison-y.
Well, look, you can see the original bars off to the side.
These are the original bars. They're metal.
No, look to the side though. There are even older ones.
Oh gosh, yeah, I see them. I don't
know
if you can see them out the window there. So my biggest fear is not ghosts. It's whether we'll, you know, get a release date. We're supposed to leave tomorrow. So that's.
She did kind of grin at us impishly when she asked just for tonight. Then.
That's true. Yeah, she knows something we don't. That we're not going to get out of here. So I hope that was a little, you know, nice tour for you. It's kind of hard because I'm having to take my laptop everywhere to do this. Otherwise, I'd show you the entire city of Oxford. Actually, while we're on that subject, we did get a little bit of a tour, as it were. Well, we self-guided tour of, excuse me, I'm losing track of what I was saying.
Christchurch.
Yes, of course, Christchurch today. Just before this live stream, actually, we're kind of up against time, but we just went round there. We took the video camera and just did a kind of like follow us sort of thing. Excuse me. So I think a video on that will be coming at some point, which will be very very exciting for us to do.
A little bit cheeky.
It's a little bit cheeky, yeah, because I think that we had like 25 minutes or something like that to walk around the entire building. And for those of you that don't know, actually, just to sort of give a frame of reference for Christchurch, Christchurch, the building, part of it was used as inspiration for the main dinner hall, if you go inside, that is, in the Harry Potter films. And also the outside, I think that the one of the big building there, wasn't it? Wasn't that
The Great Hall,
actually
and the
in
cathedral.
it? Yeah.
Well, the Great Hall was the outside steps were in it.
Yeah.
The Great Hall itself was the inspiration. And Christchurch is also the largest college, I believe, in Oxford.
Is that right? And that makes sense. I mean, it was a big place. So we just took the camera around, and you know, it's quite off the cuff, and we'll see how that comes out. You know, when it does come out. So I'll be working on that over the next few weeks.
Very beautiful gardens.
Yes, very nice gardens as always. I mean, it's England, isn't it? But we didn't and won't get too much time in Oxford, unfortunately. We're just here today. So you know, it could be that that's the only video we get to produce, as well as this one, of course. Which would be really interesting. Just want to go back to some of your comments. I want to make sure I don't miss some of these. Let's see, what do we got here? Julie Harris, in Oxford, and I think of Inspector Morse and the wonderful theme tune by Barrington Phelan. Yeah, you know what? I forgot about that. Morse was here, wasn't it? We're getting all of the sort of classic TV references in now that Tara might not be privy to.
Not even a little bit, but I'm happy to listen.
Yeah, how else can we alienate my wife during this live stream? Do we have any more references from the 70s and 80s and 90s? In case of Morse.
Remember that Lawrence will prioritize your references if you show support for the channel.
Well, you could say that. Let's see. You got 5 years for bad puns. Yep, could be that. It probably is that. But that comes from Dave Northwater. I love puns, absolutely love them. I don't know where that comes from, but it just does. How was the Cotswolds? What was your favorite place? This is just for you always with a Z. My favorite place out of all the places we went to in the Cotswolds anyway was probably, I don't know, it was one of the two main places that we went to. I mean, I did like Burton on the Water. That's the first place we went to.
Touristy.
It was very touristy, and we went to Model Village there, which was fun because I did that as a kid. But you almost need to be a kid to fit inside the houses, right? But the best bit about Burton on the Water was not the sort of village aspect to it, where all the tourists were. It was just going off hiking into some grassy areas. We were trying to find these places called Upper and Lower Slaughter. That's their real names, but we never found them. But we found ourselves on this. That sounded really cheesy, but we did have a good time. It was really good. Let's see. Greetings from New Mexico, Mr. Wicked 505. Hello, New Mexico. Let's see. I'm losing track. Endeavour is my favorite. Endeavour. What's Endeavour? It's a space shuttle.
Maybe Endeavour is a town. It doesn't sound like it should be one.
Could be.
A village in the Cotswolds.
Yeah, I'd have to check. Oh, maybe it is. Hello from Colorado, Grady Priest. This is really good. So that brings us then to the present day in terms of the trip that we've been on. It's been, like I said, it's been an absolute whirlwind, and sad that it's coming to an end. Tomorrow we do head to Heathrow Airport. We do get on a plane. We do fly over a big body of water called the Pond. Might hope we don't get lost in it. That would be bad. This is the one time we don't want to be lost in the pond. And then we land in Chicago. I want to get home in the sense that we've missed our cat, so can't wait for that. But it's sad that we're leaving. I don't want to leave in many ways. You know, it's been great. It's been great catching up to my old way of life and my old people in life. And by old people, I don't just mean senior citizens, but that counts too. I'm not going to name names because my mom would kill me. I just named her.
Oh, Endeavour is Inspector Morse's first name.
Oh, okay. I just know him by Inspector.
That's a great name.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't watch much Inspector Morse when I was younger. Maybe more Fool Me, I suppose. But there were a lot of detective series in the UK. You weren't spoiled for choice, nor to this day are you spoiled for choice, as far as I'm aware. Let's see. You also resonate here in Berkeley, California. I resonate there. That's good to know.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that comes from John Bunch.
I like Berkeley.
Yeah, where have we been?
We rode through it once.
Did we?
Yeah, when we were visiting San Francisco.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No,
Okay. Good to know. Let's see, a lot of Morse references. That's good. Are any of these places from the old Doctor Who episodes? I don't know about old Doctor Who episodes, but while we were in Gloucester, they were going to film there, but we missed it by a day.
Yeah, they filmed and then left, and then we went.
Yeah, they didn't even tell us.
So sad.
I did not get the phone call I was expecting from Jodie Whittaker. She's the worst. Sandra, thank you, Sandra, for your donation. Did you inspire your family to visit you? No, I didn't. After all the effort, we did. Yeah, I did. I know. I think it's sort of, my family have always just liked those holidays where they can get to go to the beach and just lay out. I keep telling them we have 19 beaches in Chicago, so it could happen. And also my mum is a marathon runner, and we have the Chicago Marathon, which Mo Farah took part in and won last year. So, if that's anything to go by, Mum, come and race in Chicago and we'll watch. But so far, no, Sandra, it hasn't happened, but maybe enough encouragement from all of you, and it could, who knows. Jill C, another Michigander here. Hello. It seems like a lot of folks from Michigan tune in each and every week, as I found out when I was compiling that list of the states that watch me most, and Michigan, I think, was high up on that list. What English food have you had, asks Matthew Williams. Was it pleasing or no? It's always pleasing. To go back to your old dietary haunts, and I do mean that. I had sausage rolls from Greg's for the first time in years, and it was splendiferous. Is that a word? I love it, so it is. And
let me address Sandra for a second, because she says the super chat only allows 50 characters, and it's hard to get a question in 50 characters.
Didn't know that.
I'll tell you what. If you support us and you say, I've got a question down below, and then you type out that question, or I've already written a question and, see previous comment or whatever, then we'll absolutely still honor that. I know that it's kind of, the super chat is kind of silly sometimes. I get that. I didn't design it. If I had, I would have probably made it worse, because I'm not an engineer or an IT guy, I should say. Greg's is the best, says Anna. Yes, it is. It still holds up. It is amazing, and it's cheap. It's really cheap considering, and the prices haven't really inflated all that much. If anything, they've deflated. Unlike my stomach. After Greg's. Yeah. We have not lost any weight despite all the walking. No, we've gained a lot of pounds, and I don't mean sterling. We've lost a lot of that. That is poundage we've lost. But it's been worth it. And I've had bacon butties. I've said sausage rolls, pork pies. Oh my gosh, I've had so many pork pies. Fish and chips. I've had that. I've had many pictures. For like every other meal. All right, don't tell them. That's our secret. Anyway, so yeah, it's been mental. Sherry Lyle from Central Florida. It's on fire down here. Oh goodness, is everything okay? I hope they can put that out. That's you're referring to the heat. Yes, I've heard actually in the south it is hot right now. We were having one of our more intimate live streams on Patreon yesterday, and a fellow from, I believe it was Texas or somewhere on the south coast, was saying that it was upward of 100 degrees the other day, which doesn't sound too nice, does it? Well, in the water is where you'd find me. Jessica, yes, Yorkshire pudding, of course. I've had about 50 in one day, every day, 50 a day, 50 Yorkshire puddings a day. It's a lie. Really a lie, but we had a really good carvery. We did. We keep yesterday. I've always been aware of the word carvery, but it's not something that we use a lot. It's basically to describe a place where somebody will carve your meat for you, and you get the roast and the Yorkshire puddings and all that. But the word carvery is everywhere in Gloucester, of all places. Kept seeing it there. Haven't looked into why, honestly. It's just come to me right now. So maybe I will look into that. But the Yorkshire pudding was good, that's all. Yeah, Jim Mannering. Hello, Jim. Do you pronounce it Mannering? I know that in the sitcom Dad's Army, Captain Mannering is spelt just like that, and it is pronounced that very way. We've got, is it Ileana Blanco? Hello from the south side of Chicago. Hello. And then Anderson, I want to go to the carvery. Yeah, you do. It's absolutely amazing. Great. Yeah, it is. Probably the best Sunday lunch I've had in years. Yeah, it was really good. Let's see. Monster Mash 654. Could you guys see yourself relocating back to England after this trip? I could. One day I certainly could.
It's been in our thoughts for sure. I mean, it had been prior to the trip anyway. We've always been sort of had a dual viewpoint on this, you know, America or Britain, and both places bring us joy. But it's just a case of many things, many factors that would determine, you know, which one we end up living in. But certainly being back, it brought back a lot of old memories and feelings of, yes, I really enjoyed living here back in the day. So we will see. Good question from Jared Wooters. How do Chicago and London compare? As cities, you know, I think London is, well, it's a hard one. It's a higher population. It's more densely populated than Chicago. I think that the public transit in London probably compares slightly more favorably. Because trains are far more frequent at the underground, so that's a plus right there. But I made the point on Instagram. I keep plugging it, so I'll do it again. Instagram.com/lostinthepond. I'll also put the link to it right here. But I made the point on Instagram that I think Chicago wins when it comes to beaches. So I didn't even know London technically had some beaches, but if you walk along the Thames, you will find some areas of sand and promenade. But they're pretty pathetic, at least the ones we saw. And if you go further down the Thames, it's a bit slushy, whereas Chicago, as I pointed out before, absolutely fabulous in that regard. So pros and cons to both, I think. Both cities I've enjoyed living in over the years. And yes, Cadalbert, is that how I pronounce it? Maybe. Backs me up on the tube, saying London Tube is great. It absolutely is. Let's see, what else have we got? Did you eat much pudding? What's your favorite? Yeah, so not just Yorkshire pudding, which wouldn't come under the broad classification of puddings, which is to say dessert. But in terms of desserts and puddings in that sense, what did we have? We did have some sticky toffee pudding, which is quite great, yeah, it's quite under the umbrella, I think, of British desserts.
With custard.
With custard. Didn't have any spotted dick in terms of the dessert, you know. So there was that. She wasn't laughing. That was a cough. She's heard this joke about 1,000 times now. So yeah. So but we've had quite a few different desserts. I tried my best to not go overboard. I mean, mostly we've had a lot of Cadbury chocolate that you can't get in America, the type that you can't get in America, and it's been too good to me. It's been less good to my teeth, but it's been great to my sort of overall sanity to have that. So that's been fantastic.
We had a couple of cream teas.
Yeah.
Well, I did.
You did.
You would have coffee and a cake.
Yeah, I had a lot of coffee. Here's something then. So a few things that have changed in this country since we were last here. On the subject of coffee shops are far more prevalent here now. I almost see them in just as high abundance as I do sort of tea drinking places. I don't know, tea establishments, tea houses. Thank you. My brain, it's late in the day. It's not that late, but I'm hot. I've had wine, prosecco, and so there's more coffee. There's a lot of vaping going on.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Well, it's just, I mean, it's happened in America since we've gone too. So lots of vape shops everywhere, and it's just the same thing on both sides of the pond in that regard. Probably timeline-wise, pretty similar. And here's a big thing. When we lived here before, you could barely find Mexican food anywhere. Now it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. You can find taco shops, you know, on many street corners and all of that. There's even, I've heard, Taco Bell in my hometown of Cleethorpes. We never saw it. It would have been a bizarre sight. You know, at the best of times, I'm not a big Taco Bell fan, but to find one in England would be unique, to be sure. And so that's been a big change that we've seen. Street food wasn't really, you know, all the rage when I lived here. You'd sometimes find it, usually in the form of an ice cream truck. You know, now it's sort of everywhere. And in fact, again, on Instagram, I did share a picture of a street truck that I found that was selling fish and chips. So that was good. That was delightful to see that out and about.
Yesterday we passed by a big red bus that was refashioned into a pop-up bar as well.
We did. That was amazing, actually. I mean, it was tacky, you know, but on the other side of the coin, great iconography. Red London bus selling beer out the side of it. We never actually got any in the end because we'd already paid extortionate amounts further in the festival. Taco Bell, ooh, yeah, I absolutely share your sentiments on that. Yes, and in fact, Peter Nancaro, that's definitely YouTube name of the week, by the way. I have been to a few Taco Bells here in the UK. There you go. Apparently it is everywhere at this point. There's a lot of herbal smells wafting around too. I don't think those are herbal smells. So they're probably coming from me. It's been, with all the food I've eaten, I mean, you can't help it really to be a little bit gassy.
I don't think that's what they mean.
No? Okay. Well, that's what I mean. No, you're right though. There are those sort of, oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, we probably can't talk about that.
Well, because I need the YouTube revenue, so I can't go into depth. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you're probably right. My wife, this is from the Raven Mask. My wife loved the chips in paper cones in England. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? I remember growing up, when I was a kid, growing up in basically the fish and chips capital of the world, Grimsby. They used to give me the fish and chips in genuine newspaper wrap, not the sort of fake stuff that you now get. And you no longer get that because I think of health and safety issues. The ink was leaking onto the chips, but that was part of the charm. You know, it was also part of the hospital bill that you didn't get because you're on the NHS.
So just a reminder, we have a whole lot of questions coming in. It's going to be impossible to get through all of them.
Yes.
So if you would like yours prioritized, then make sure to support the channel.
Yep, feel free to do that.
We really do want to answer them all, but I'm not sure that we're going to be able to.
We do, but I'll tell you what, it's not going as fast as it has done in the past. So that's at least something, and I'm able to somewhat keep up. Tacky and amazing, lovely, exactly. I come from Cleethorpes, so I know this feeling well. What is black pudding? I wish I knew. Bloody awful, isn't it?
It's made of blood, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
Blood sausage.
It is blood, you know, congealed blood. Is the beer room temperature?
We've had a fair share of both.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, I think it depends where you go, I suppose. But I was making this point the other day that yes, beer can be warm, but so are the rooms. This is the big thing I've noticed. I knew this anyway because I grew up in England, but we don't have air conditioning in any of our establishments or even in our homes. So there's a general warmth to the rooms, a bit humid at times, in fact. So you have to either have a fan, which we've got over here. I won't bother showing it, but you can probably hear it in the background. Or you have to crack a window open. Well, of course, we're in a former prison. You can't really do that very easily. So we've got 2 fans in here tonight to keep us warm. But the reason I was coming on to that is that I think that beers tend to get warm when they're sitting out here because there's no air conditioning. That is certainly one factor. I mean, the way it's prepared, I suppose, can lend itself to that. But like Tara said, we've had plenty of cold beer as well while we've been here to offset that. Now I'm just going to down some vodka.
Water, guys.
Don't ruin the illusion. I wouldn't have vodka with Prosecco.
It's quite warm in here.
It is.
That is one thing that I miss about Chicago already, just being here for 2 weeks in hot weather is.
Yeah, you're right. But I just read probably the greatest comment I've ever read. And this is from Gloria, who says, battered sausage is lethal, but worth it.
I don't know if I've ever had that.
I've had battered sausage. It is worth it, and it is lethal. It's lethal in numerous senses of the word. One of which is that dietarily it's terrible for you, but also if you're eating it, it's battered. It can it's quite painful to eat in many ways, until you get through it a little bit. Put some vinegar on it, it softens it up, and then you got vinegar on it, which is always a plus, isn't it? You don't like vinegar, so I suspect you don't agree with me on that. This is from Rial. It's uncommon to have air conditioning here in Montana. But keep drinks in the fridge. Did not know that. I suppose Montana being sort of the great outdoors state that it is, do you have your windows open at all times? Or does it just never reach those temperatures that sort of necessitate the air conditioning that we have in many parts of the US? Don't have a sense for that, having never visited Montana, but I hope to sometime down the road. Flakes equal danger. They do. I can get onto that. They're dangerous in that they're obviously caloric. But also amazing, and I have them in ice creams. Had one just yesterday, actually. Yeah, Flake 99. But they crumble a lot, so they go all over your trousers, which is
hence the name.
Yeah, but that's part of the charm, I think, of having a flake in many ways. Vinegar is the only way. Vinegar is the only. There is no other way in life but to vinegar, which is now a verb.
That's horrible.
I don't agree with you on that, as you know. Adam writes, hello, Lawrence. I live in Fort Wayne, which I'm sure you're familiar with. I'm very familiar with it, Adam. I lived there for 1 year of my life back in the day, back in 2012, I think it was. And then we moved to Indianapolis and then Chicago. But always liked the fort, specifically the people of the fort. Very nice people in Fort Wayne. That's what always sticks out to me.
Yeah, and very beautiful people, too.
Well, when I lived there, yeah.
Really nice looking people in Fort Wayne.
When we left, it kind of plummeted a little bit, you know, but for the most part, you're right. I'm joking. I would never hold myself in that. How's the spotty dick? Oh, that is a great question.
We didn't have any.
Yeah, we didn't have any. We saw plenty, you know, especially after 11 o'clock at night and people had been drinking. But no, spotted dick, I didn't have any. Yeah, didn't have any. I would have loved some. It's beautiful.
We had sticky toffee pudding though, which is almost
it is. For those of you who think we are being crude right now, there is actually a pudding in Britain called spotted dick, and it's a spongy. Yeah, you can. It's a spongy pudding with raisins in it, and you put custard on it. And it's absolutely amazing, honestly. If I'm being terribly honest.
You like raisins?
Yes. And Rial confirms that yes, gets horribly hot in August, then it snows. Yeah, that's almost sounds like Chicago, but
really, yeah.
But I've heard horror stories about winters up in the top of the United States, across the way. So Adam asking, so how has England been so far? Well, earlier in the live stream, we did sort of do a sort of mini vocal tour of our time here so far. But it's been great. Just to reiterate, it has been absolutely excellent. Best vacation I've had, well, maybe ever. I don't know. I mean, it really has been up there. I don't like to be an absolutist, but I would say it's the best I've ever had.
I would agree with that if it weren't for the fact that I wasn't sick.
Yeah, Tara got ill.
So ill right now, you guys. She's kind of suffering through it.
She has walking pneumonia, which is how we pronounce it in my brain. Not in England, walking pneumonia. She thinks she says
I don't
these
actually
things.
know.
I think she's got scarlet fever. It's like we've been in the century where that was popular. I mean, it was never popular, but you know what I mean.
We did though go and get some medicine the other day, and the lady at the till, which is not a word we use in the U.S.
Cash register.
She asked me if I had the lurgy.
The lurgy, yeah, she was asked if she has the lurgy, and for those of you that don't know, lurgy is more or less an equivalent of the term cooties in the United States. And she said, no, I've got a cold, which could also classify as an example of having the lurgy, because lurgy can also mean you're generally ill, you know, so there is that. This is from Renee, who says, scarlet fever, a colonial falling in love with a redcoat.
Yeah, there we go.
She's watched Outlander. She knows how this works.
I do indeed, although she's British.
Yeah, well, and falls in love with the Scotsman.
Yeah.
So doesn't quite work that way. So sorry you're sick. Hello from Tennessee, and that's from Joyce Jones. Thanks, so Joyce.
Kind.
Yeah.
So tell everybody about that hashtag again and what's going to happen.
Yeah, so for those of you who joined late, so recently on Patreon we did this thing where you know, if people pledged $5 or more, we sent them a postcard, as we did today. So they're going to arrive in June. But now we're going to open up a little sort of competition to everybody, Patreon or otherwise, where you go onto our social media profiles, if you use social media. If not, there's no pressure. But you could actually go to my website. This is a way that non-social media people can do it. If you have email, you can go to lostinthepond.com and scroll down and go to contact, and you can possibly send us a picture of your postcard that way. But what I was about to say is, find a postcard that you last received or that you really enjoyed receiving or anything like that, and just photograph the front of it and send us a picture with the hashtag Lost in the Postcards. And then what we're going to do is enter anybody who sent us these pictures with the hashtag. We're going to enter you into a drawing to receive a free book. We'll be in touch with the winner, so be on the lookout for that, because we'll need an address, obviously, to send this to. But just to reiterate once again, social media or to our email, and send a picture of your postcard and just use the hashtag Lost in the Postcards, and we will enter you into that drawing.
Adam makes a really good point. He says that he's sadly never gotten a postcard. It doesn't have to be a postcard that you've received. you can buy a postcard for yourself, or you can even get them free sometimes.
Yeah, maybe.
Whatever your favorite postcard is. In fact, my favorite postcard is one that I received for free when Lawrence and I went to dinner for Valentine's Day one year. It was just a postcard that was hanging around on our table, and now it's sitting up on my board. So
yeah, I mean, we'll take all comments. You know, I think the key is just to let's all join in, because we've been really excited by the prospect, excuse me, of writing postcards on this trip, because it's one of those things that you don't immediately think to do in this day and age, with the sort of digital media being what it is. It's so easy to just sort of ping people a picture, but we found there's a very sort of human touch to sending postcards. I mean, I already knew that. I've sent them in the past, but it's been such a long time, and it's just been nice to get back to it. So we want to celebrate the postcard and really just sort of bring it back, whether or not it seems tacky or not.
Also, remember, we only have a few minutes left for your question to be answered. So if you want your question prioritized, we're trying to get to all of them, but I know we won't, because there are just so many of you guys who have asked questions over the hour. So if you want to prioritize, you got a couple minutes still to do that by supporting the channel. Yeah,
and what did I see there? This is from Rial. Love Outlander, so you're not alone, that's for sure. Looks like it has a big following, actually, on this side of La Pond. Let's go down those sexy red coats in breeches. I know, that's what she says every night. Not every night. I don't wear them every night. Okay, well, let's see. Postcards are always in style. Yeah, I absolutely agree. They should be. Thank you, Gloria. Yeah. Hello from Texas, AD Green. Hello. Gosh, Texas. Why have we not been there enough? It's a huge state. Should get down there. It's weird, you know, I've been so in the British mode in these last few weeks that just thinking about America now seems like a fresh idea again, and sounds really exciting. Let's see. Oh, thank you. This is from Texas Tornado 1959. Thank you there for that donation. Texas Tornado 1959. And you've said, just got on here, sorry if you already answered this. Did you go to a pub and have fish and chips? We bloody did. We did both. We went to a pub and had fish and chips. In that pub, actually, I had fish cake and chips as well. Absolutely excellent. Put vinegar on that, and that's always nice to do. Softens it up, like we said earlier. Were they wonderful and tasty? They really were. You know, I think that you can get decent fish and chips in America, and it's not usually the fish that's the problem. It's usually the chips, and not quite how you expect them in England, where they're quite sort of thick but quite greasy. Bad for you, in other words. And I'd missed that. So we've definitely capitalized on that. I may even do it one more time before we leave. And then also in England, pudding means dessert, not always pudding. Could be cake. Exactly. Yeah. That's what we were speaking about earlier on. It's just this weird thing, but then you throw Yorkshire pudding into the mix, which is this sort of savory thing. No, it's not a cake in the least. So confuses matters entirely. But I've had plenty of Yorkshire pudding. I've also had plenty of just pudding as well. So as we said earlier, we've piled on the pounds. We've also spent the pounds in terms of sterling. Let's see, what else have we got here? Look, we've got 3 minutes, so I'm just going to go through some of these. Hello from Tennessee. That's from Leticia Francisco. Hello. Great state of Tennessee. We've been there once. To Nashville, I think, was the only time I've been. You've been numerous times, but
yes, I have.
Come and see Yellowstone in Wyoming. It's so beautiful. It's so high on my list of priorities when it comes to national parks in the United States. It is such a picturesque place. I was thinking about American national parks the other day, because actually national parks in Britain, as you can quite imagine, are also a splendid sight to see. And so it'd be great to sort of do both consecutively if you can. It's kind of hard, but let's see. What else have we got? They're moving fast now. Oh, here's a good one from Desert Rose. Do any of your family members or friends say that your accent has changed since you've been in the States? I think there are a few things that came up, but for the most part, it was me pointing them out as I said them. And it was less sort of accent features and more vocabulary. You know, I think that when you grow up in another place, or rather when you live in another place for an extended period of time, it's the everyday words that you start using, words like trash in this case, or words like, I don't know, just other things that are part of the everyday. And you can't get those out of your vocabulary when you go back to your former country of residence. One word I keep saying, or one phrase, is downtown. We're going to head downtown. And you don't really hear that said a lot in England. It's more
like
town centre or top town.
Uptown or
yeah.
top town. Yeah.
Top town, they say in Grimsby. and never downtown. So it's things like that that really sort of come to the fore. Less so the way I pronounce words, but in fact, if anything, when I'm in Grimsby, I start talking like I'm from Grimsby again, and I say car park and things like that. And I mean, it's not quite as pronounced as that, but when I'm around people from the north, it's hard not to fall back into that, I suppose.
All right, so we have about a minute left. Why don't you tell them about Instagram and remind everybody about the hashtag one more time so that we can give away a couple books.
Let's do it. So yeah, again, I brought it up a few times in this because we've grown. Our Instagram account has grown quite a bit in the last few weeks. In fact, to the extent that last time I checked, we've passed 2,000 whole followers, which pales in comparison to YouTube. But still, we want to go way beyond that. So I want to get off this chat and find that we're at 2020 or something like that. So again, I'm going to put it in the chat here. It is instagram.com/lostinthepond. And you can go there right now and follow us if you don't already. And also just a reminder again about the postcard giveaway, or the book giveaway that we're doing as part of this postcard extravaganza. If you have a postcard that you really enjoy and you want to show it off to the world, why not share that with us on social media or by email by using the hashtag lost in the postcards, and we will be able to find that on social media, and you'll be entered into a book drawing to win a copy of Lynn Murphy's The Prodigal Tongue, one of my favorite linguistic books on the subject of British versus American English. That is all we have time for today. That is the top of the hour. It's been absolutely fabulous checking in with you all after these weeks of being away. We will have plenty of videos coming up about our trip in the next few weeks and months, but until then, have a great week and just a great time in general. All right, bye. Now I'm going to end this.
Thank you for the well wishes.
Yeah, she'll get better soon. I'm going to stop the broadcast. Bye. What does he do, Spock? Live long and prosper. Don't know why.